Well, hello, gunfighters. Today we're going to talk about realistic shooting scenarios that you can do beyond competition, beyond training classes, realistic things that are applicable to you in your life and your scenarios that you know are germane to you in your life. That's what we're going to talk about today on Gunfighter Life. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, ballistics, the right way with God Almighty at the center, biblical, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. On that today's topic, I just started thinking about this. A lot of times I'll have a list of topics to talk about, but this one kind of popped into my head. And I thought it would be a good thing to talk about on a nice snowy day. So I recently had one of the patrons reach out to me. It's one of the cool things. I get to interact with the patrons pretty regularly and by God's grace, hopefully help them out. And they get to help me out and we help each other out. But he asked me about one of his friends, and long story short, his friend thinks he's a really good shot, but this guy seems to think he's a really bad shot. And he said he's a really good friend of his. They work together, and he's, I guess, asking for a diplomatic way to show him that he's not a very good shot. And I said, well, you guys should go to a competition together. Targets are honest. The targets don't lie. You don't hit the target just because you really, really want to, or because you have a lot of really cool Gucci-looking kit, or you have the latest and greatest firearm. Like, Target doesn't care about any of that stuff. The Target doesn't care that you watch every single GunTuber YouTube video of your favorite influencer. Target doesn't care about any of that. The Target is honest. It's one of the reasons I love shooting, especially handgun shooting, because handgun shooting is very unforgiving, very perishable skill. So I said invite him to a competition, and I love competition. If you've listened to my bio, it's been a long time since I put in a full bio, but military, law enforcement, private security contracting, competition shooting background. I have been blessed to win more competitions than I can honestly remember. All manner of competitions. From precision rifle to steel challenge, which is like drag racing with a handgun, to knife throwing. I just like that kind of projectile weapon competition. I've been blessed to win more than I can remember. I love competition. Competition is fantastic. I'm not saying this so you don't compete. I'm saying after you compete, after you get good, and also tactical training classes. I don't think it should be one or the other. It should be both, right? Take training classes. I routinely get training. I've been, by God's grace, a professional gunfighter pretty much all of my adult life with a few short breaks. I joined the Marine Corps at 17, but I guess you wouldn't say I was professionally doing it until I got out of boot camp, which I would have been 18. I'm 41. Quite a while, and I still get training. You guys should still get training. I don't care where you are on the ladder. Always get training. This is not against training. I guess I still technically am or was. I just don't live near there. Professional firearms instructor for, I believe, the largest training facility in the United States. I'm an F.B.I. certified firearms instructor. N.R.A. for what that's worth, and that's not much. Firearms instructor, and I still get training. I still sometimes get basic training. You guys should be getting training and competing. I say all that to say that this is not to say that this is all that you should do and this is better than all that. I'm saying this is different than that, what I'm going to talk about, and it's more applicable directly, but you still have to have the skills to build onto. But beyond the competition, beyond the classes, what is realistic to you? And I'm going to start by saying what I've seen as an instructor and as being around people and trying to help them over the decades. What a lot of people do, they'll go to a range, they'll go to an indoor range or whatever, which I think indoor range are slightly better than not shooting at all. But you go to an indoor range and they bring out their nice, fancy, big, full-size handgun and they shoot it. And it takes them a few rounds to get warmed up. Maybe it takes them a magazine or whatever before they minimize their launching rounds low and to the left. And then they shoot a decent group at 5-10 yards, and they feel pretty good after their training session, and they go home. And then they, when they leave the range, they put their little Ruger LCP in their pocket or their SIG 365. which after they shot pretty good with their full-size handgun, maybe they shot a few rounds out of the 365 and they called it good, and that's what they're carrying. When, let's say you are stuck going to an indoor range because you live in a people hive east of the Mississippi or wherever people live, the more realistic thing to do would be start off, and hopefully you can do this at the range where you shoot at, but start off with the gun, how you carry it, with the rounds in it that you carry in it, especially the round that's in the chamber. And without cleaning the gun, without doing anything, take that gun from however you normally carry it. If you wiener carry, right, if you carry it pointed at your junk, as far as carry go, the only thing that separates you from a Mexican cartel member is you have a thin piece of Kydex. But if you wiener carry, which I'm not a big proponent of appendix carry, if you can't tell, but if that's how you carry, then do a draw and do what you think would be one of the hardest drills you're likely to face. Like do a Mozambique drill at 15 yards or whatever, and do that with the rounds in the gun. That's only 3 rounds. This will give you a more realistic look at your abilities. It won't give you a false sense of confidence. Also, you can get things where your carry gun gets so dirty and nasty it can malfunction. That's important to know. Also, if you over oil your gun, right, some of that oil can get, especially if you're not using really good premium hollow point rounds, but even if you are, sometimes some of that oil, that lube, if you over lube it, can get into the primer pocket, can cause a dead round. Did you get a dead round? Did you get a failure to fire on your first round? If you did you clear it quickly? You didn't just look at your gun like it was a frog staring at a wristwatch wondering what to do. But as soon as you heard that click, you tap, roll, rack, or tap, rack, bang, whatever cool acronym you want to use. And were you able to sink those shots? Were you able to get those 2 fast body shots? And were you able to make that headshot at 15 yards? Your first 3 shots of the day. Because that is way more solid of a metric on how good a shot you are practically than, again, you carry that little, 365 appendix carry, but you brought in a big full-size 2011 and you did a bunch of shots with it. Well, if that's not what you carry day to day, it's probably not what you need to be good with. You guys know, if you've listened, I'm a big proponent of carry a full-size fighting handgun like a man. Like carry a real fighting handgun. I carry a full-size fighting handgun. I'm a private security contractor. I carry one at work. I carry one when I get off of work. I carry a better one when I get off work because I don't have to, at work I have to carry what they give me, which is not a very good gun. But when I'm off work, I get to carry what I want, which is a good gun. But either way, a full-size fighting handgun. You need to be able to get hits with that. Whatever you carry. If you carry a way worse gun than that, your little Smith & Wesson J-frame, which I sometimes will carry if that's all I can get away with, which is very rare, maybe a couple of times a year, right? Or, a compact Micro 9. If that's what you carry, that's what you need to start off your practice with, because that's going to show you where your skill level is. If you carry your, full-size 2011 once a year to your buddy's barbecue, and other than that you just take it to the indoor range, that's not really what you need to be practicing with when you go to your practice session. Right, shoot your carry gun. And again, I think it's important to shoot it. Now, we talked about that drill. I've also talked ad nausea about having rounds that shoot point of aim, point of impact out of your gun. I'll rehash it quickly here, right? If you're practicing close contact shots at CQB distances, yeah, you can waste some rounds, not waste some rounds, but you can shoot a bunch of rounds of, 115 grain Winchester white box. It's not bad ammo. But if you shoot 147 grain, I don't know, just pick one, Federal HST, which is a good round, don't expect those rounds to shoot in the same place if you're actually aiming the gun. At CQB distances, you want to get your index right. They're not going to make much of a difference, right? But if you're talking about actually aimed shots, like headshots, yeah, you want to shoot rounds that are similar or specifically designed to be matched with your carry ammo, like, CCI or Spear, same company, Spear Lawman 147s and 147 gold dots. Right? They were designed to feed and function and have the same bullet profile, flat front, all that stuff to feed the same way. As long as you know your gun feeds your hollow points, that first drill, shoot, 3 rounds of your carry ammo every once in a while to make sure it still works, especially that first round. Then you can load the rest of your magazine up with the very similar bullet weight profile rounds after you shot your first drill, whatever that drill is. And then maybe make the last round in your gun your carry ammo, because this is not always true. But in general, if you're going to get a malfunction, you will more likely get it in your first couple of rounds or your last couple of rounds, because that's where you have the most spring tension in your magazine and or your gun's cold and dirty, or the least spring tension in your magazine, which can cause problems. So in general, that's where you're going to have the most of your issues, right? So if you only want to shoot 10 rounds of your carry ammo, then put a few in the first part of your magazine and a few in the last part of your magazine for a few mags. And every so often, you're probably, hopefully you're cycling through your carry ammo anyway, right? Hopefully you're not still rocking black Talons from the 90s. Hopefully you switch out your carry ammo every 6 months, every year, whatever you think, you should be doing. But when it's time, maybe shoot a couple of rounds of that to make sure it actually functioned in your gun. Okay, we talk about carry guns. How about your truck gun? Hopefully, if you've listened for any length of time, you have a truck gun or a trunk gun if you're a city person and you drive a car. But a vehicle gun, hopefully your vehicle gun, you can do a similar thing. Hopefully, now you're not going to be able to do this at an indoor range, but hopefully every once in a while you go to an outdoor range if you have to shoot at a range. You don't live out in free America, with BLM land. And, when somebody says BLM, you think, oh, let's go shooting, not BLM, uber leftists rioting and burning stuff down. But where there's millions of acres of public shooting range, you can go shoot on anytime you want. But either a place like that or an outdoor range where you can drive up next to the shooting bench, a good thing to do to test out your vehicle gun would be set up targets in a realistic thing, right? Maybe 2 targets, one real close and one as far away as you can get it on the long range, assuming it's not like 1,000-yard range, but a practical distance, anywhere from, your first target at 5 yards and your other one at 300 yards. Or your first one at 5 yards and your next one at 75 yards if you live in a city and you really can't see past that and, the southeast. And then get out your vehicle gun, much like your carry gun, with the ammo that's in it, with the ammo that's been in it for 6 months when it got hot, when it got cold, when it got beat around, with the optic that's on it, and you take it right out of the case and you shoot that drill. Make sure your gun's still zeroed. If your gun didn't stay zeroed, you may have to look at something. It may be as simple as you need to put Loctite on your rings. Can't tell you the number of times I've seen people with really good guns and even really good optics, and they either chinced out on the mounts or they didn't spend $6 on blue Loctite and Loctite their mounts. And then they can't hit anything because their gun's not zeroed. So grab that gun, 12 gauge or AR or SCAR 17 or your scout rifle, whatever your vehicle gun is, your PCC if you live in Canada. I know Canadians, they got that little bit of French in them, a little bit of feminine. They rock the PCCs. Just kidding. I feel really bad for you guys and your gun laws up there. I get why you carry PCCs. Just a joke. But whatever your vehicle gun is, take it out of the case with the ammo that's been in it, that's been in the chamber. Or if you carry it cruiser ready, get it out and rack it. Make sure it doesn't malfunction. Then shoot the drill with the ammo and the gun as is. Then maybe perform a reload wherever the rest of that ammo is. Make sure you can get to it. Make sure you can get to the gun quickly when it's in your vehicle. Make sure, again, that the gun actually functions. It's actually zeroed with the ammo you're actually going to shoot out of it. Not right, you zeroed it for whatever cheap 55 grain full metal jacket you had, but you wanted to load up some super cool 77 grain OTM Navy SEAL Frogman Super Slayer ammo and put that in your gun, and you never zeroed it, and you go to shoot your drill and you don't hit anything because it's really cool ammo that's not zeroed for your gun. But shooting a drill like that will help you with that. What ammo is in your gun? What magazine's in your gun? What optic is on there? How long has that ammo been in that gun? With all the beating that truck guns take, if you're like me, you're 150 10 to 118 pound, depending on how much he's been running and eating, Rhodesian Ridgeback jumped in the back of your car and stepped all over your bags with guns in them, and make sure that stuff's still zeroed, right? That's important to know. Not you go to the range, you take your truck gun out, oh, it's a little dirty, so you clean it, you load it up with the ammo that you want in it, and then you shoot little tiny groups off a bench. Okay, that was a fun day, but was that real practical dope? Data obtained in previous engagements. Dope. Was that good, actual dope that's germane to you and in a situation you might get in? But a drill like that, that's a lot more applicable, right? You can do the fun stuff later. You and your buddy can set up aluminum cans at 25 yards and feel good about shooting them. But how about some practical drills? Can get all kinds of good information out of that. Like, oh, last time I shot this gun was in the summer and I used some real thick lube, which worked great in the summer, but now it's below zero and my gun is gummed up and it jams every third round because the viscosity of this lubrication is not right. That happens. You'll know that if you actually do it. Another thing could be, right, is one of these your go-to bug-out gun? If so, go for rucks with it. Go for hikes with it. Go camping with it, right? Again, assuming you don't live back east where you have to go to like a campsite where you have to pay to camp and people are going to freak out if they see you walking around with a long gun. But if you live somewhere where you can actually walk around with a gun and nobody cares, go camping with your gun, right? Go rucking with your gun. Hopefully you're rucking regularly anyway, right? Get ready for the big bug out. But when you do that, go rucking, go camping for however long and treat that gun how you would normally treat it. And then, without cleaning it, go somewhere where you can shoot it and then shoot it. Is it still zeroed, right? Are those mounts holding up? When you fell 3 times trying to go down a wet hillside and landed on your gun once, is that gun still zeroed? If not, you may want to rethink your bug-out gun choice. You're probably going to fall a lot more than that. I couldn't tell you how many times I fell this year elk hunting. But when it got dirty, when it got real nasty, and you were super tired because you've been up all day, and it took forever to get the fire started because everything was wet, you got a bunch of water in your tent and all this other stuff, and then at the end of the weekend, when that gun is filthy and you take it out and shoot a drill with it, how does it work? Does it work okay? Is it still zero? Does that ammo still work, or did it get wet and it doesn't work anymore? Might want to look at getting ammo with sealed primer pockets. I want to spend the extra 20 cents a round and get good quality defensive ammo rather than the cheap bulk stuff. Just an example. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't shoot competition. I think you absolutely should shoot competition. I am looking forward to this year's competition season coming up. I've actually got stuff in my cart today to build a new rifle for this year's CMP high power competitions. By God's grace, I'll get to do that this year. I'm not saying you shouldn't take training classes. I'm not for sure yet, but I think I'll have some decent amount of training coming up this spring. God willing. You should do those things as well. But do these things in addition to. I was about to close it up, but I remembered one other thing. Also, when you're shooting these drills with your, especially going back to your carry gun, not so much on long guns, but with your carry gun, semi-autos, shoot some drills one-handed. It's called a handgun, not a hands gun, right? One of the few advantages of a handgun, because in general, if you're fighting or trying to feed yourself, you want a long gun. But handguns are real convenient. But one of the only other big advantages other than convenient to carry is they can be fired pretty effectively one-handed. So have at least one drill when you start off with that dirty carry gun where you shoot both your strong hand only and your weak hand only. One, because this is a skill I know from experience not many people practice with. And it's, as much as you don't like to think about it, it's very likely you could have something in your hand, right? You could be dragging a buddy who's been shot. You could be, shot in the arm and your arm may not work. That's why you got to use the other arm. You could have had some Antifa super soldier whack you in the arm with a baseball bat and break your arm, and you got to use the other one, or you only get to use one. There are myriad reasons why you may only have one hand. And getting back to your dirty carry gun, many times If a gun is going to malfunction, it's more likely to malfunction when you shoot it one-handed because people don't have a firm enough grip, their wrists are a little loose, and that will cause a stovepipe or a malfunction when you wouldn't generally get it when you shoot both hands. But that's something you should probably know before you actually have a broken arm in a gunfight. So get that technique down. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Hopefully you appreciated this episode. Again, talking to the patrons, I talk to them quite a bit. I try and rest on Sabbath, but pretty much every other day, unless I'm out in the wilderness or don't have service or something. The vast majority of days, I check in and see what questions they have, see what comments they have, see what's going on. And I try and post pretty regularly on different things. Yesterday, just for an example, I went out and shot some different buckshot loads, comparing different buckshot loads on a human-sized steel target so that I could show them an actual decent analog for what buckshot looked like, different types, different distances, double-aught versus number 4 versus a 12 gauge and a 20 gauge, what buckshot was actually viable out to 50 yards and what kind of was only viable out to about 25 yards. I did that and I posted it. Just one small example. So if you want to support the podcast, you want some cool insider-only content, please consider becoming a patron. There should be a Patreon link in the show notes. I appreciate you guys. I feel like this episode had a lot of tips in it, so I'm not going to give you an extra tactical tip. But I will give you a tactical verse of the day. And whoever kills an animal shall restore it, but whoever kills a man shall be put to death. You shall have the same law for the stranger and for the one from your own country, for I am the Lord your God. Thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.